Hey everyone, today I'm going to be reviewing another album. It's already out, so hopefully you've had a chance to listen to it, but the reason I'm doing this review is for people who may not have heard it, may not be aware that it's out, because I think it's a must-listen for the year. It will be, spoiler alert, featuring in my end-of-year list that will be coming up within the next month or so. That album, as you can tell from the title of the video you're watching, is Hearts of No Light by Schammasch. One of the talking points around this album is the fact that it's following up the notable Triangle, a triple album, a monolithically ambitious project. And following up a notable or successful album is often quite a difficult task. The successor is never looked upon favourably. Look at Unto the Locust, 10,000 Days, or Load. They all get unfairly lambasted as albums because they followed The Blackening, Lateralis, and the Black Album, respectively. Whatever you think of those albums is up to you. Obviously, it's all subjective at the end of the day. Music is an art form that we should all take personal taste into account for. But in my opinion, those are three albums that unfairly get a bad rap because of what they followed. And I was worried that the general response to Schammash's latest album, Hearts of No Light, would be something of a disappointment after the success and, again, ambition of Triangle. In creating this follow-up album, they had to satiate both themselves artistically as well as their fans who were looking for something of spiralling dexterity and a real work of borderline genius. The album opens with a piano solo from classical pianist Lillian Liu. It sets an elegiac and grandiose tone, really sets the scene for something spectacular and a classy affair that you're about to be taken on. This isn't biscuit tin recording black metal. This is got something real pomp and circumstance to it. This song, Winds That Pierce the Silence, broods with this exquisite restraint as it grows over its short runtime. There's an underlying sense of menace as the guitars gently pluck away and these almost industrial noises underlie the soundscape. It leads into the colossal Ego Sum Omega that you will doubtless have heard if you know of Schammasch by now. Ego Sum Omega is a much more relatively straightforward black metal song. It pulls out all the stops and really goes for a sort of skin-flaying, visceral assault. It does have something in common with the prior track, however. It does expand over its 8-minute runtime and evolves into something different than where it begins. It's a very dynamic song. And as you will know if you've seen any reviews on this channel, I love me some dynamism. Notable on this album is the band's expansion as an outfit. This is both physical and musical. The band are now a quintet rather than the trio they were beforehand. They've recruited some extra members to flesh out the sound, and the glossy new production job they've got really accentuates all the little details and abstrusely hidden interplays of harmonics and histrionics that you find in their music on repeat listens. Listening to a song like Cadman's Air might not be the height of subtlety. It does seem a little derivative of perhaps other black metal contemporaries, like, to be honest, it sounds like Behemoth, basically. It sounds a lot like modern-day Behemoth. But it does have these intricacies woven into the track, so it's not wholly derivative. It blends from different sources of inspiration, but it doesn't outright copy them or imitate them. Lyrically, this album delights in its philosophical intellectualism. It's very possible that many people will write this off as pretentious tosh. Lyrics like "The fathoms of truth are where darkness is deep and triumphant" do sound a little forced at first, but within the context of the record they make sense. This is grandiose music and it should have grand philosophising ideas. They're not lyrics built on sloganeering, they're built on a necessity for thought. You can read these lyrics as a form of almost poetry, to be honest. And I sincerely hope that you do read the lyrics because they are quite brilliant, even if they're not following a conventional A-B rhyme scheme or anything like that. So they might be a little esoteric for some listeners, but for those of you who like your black metal with an extra sense of grandiosity, an extra sense of almost pretension, remember pretension is not synonymous with bullshit, then you're going to enjoy this. The fluidity of this album is really genuinely impressive. As an album that clocks in at over an hour, it never releases its stranglehold on your attention. You're never left wanting for more and you never feel bored. So often nowadays I'll be listening to an album, I'll check my phone or my watch or whatever, just check the time, see how long I've been listening to it, see what track I'm on, but with this album I can put it on from start to finish and never feel the need to be distracted by any outside influence. The album's finale, Innermost Lowermost Abyss, is perhaps the most extreme display of restraint that the bands show. It grows from a whisper but never explodes into anything cacophonous or horrible. It's a real exercise in subtlety and, restraint, as I say. It's a deeply unsettling end to the torturous journey that the band have taken you on across this record. Hearts of No Light is an absolutely stunning record. It's multifaceted and spirals ad infinitum into these dexterous different territories and ideas and landscapes. It's one of the best extreme works of the year, there's no doubt about that. You'll see where it places in my end of year list in a few weeks. And it flows beautifully from the sombre acoustic guitar refrains into the cacophonous and scathing black metal. Enduring the exhausting moments of the black metal gives way to these placid passages that allow you to have a sense of reprieve, a temporary break from the assault, and they just create this dynamic flow and flair that is often so missing on so many other albums. It's an album of meticulous construction, it's an album of superb musicality. There's barely a wasted second on this over an hour record, and you'd think with that much material there'd got to be something wrong with it, but it's near flawless. This is an album that could be in conversation with The Satanist for one of the best black metal releases of the decade. It's a record that looks at the bleakness of inhumanity and stands out as one of 2019's absolute finest. Thanks very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed this. The reason I wanted to talk about this album is because I feel that it's going to go under a lot of people's radars, although as of the day of recording, Decibel have just included it in their top 40, so that's very exciting. I'm very pleased for Schammasch. I can only hope that they'll get a few more fans off things like that, and maybe even from this video and the review that is on Roxins that you can go and look at in the description down below. If you did enjoy this, feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. What do you think of the album? It's already out. You should really go and listen to it if you already haven't, because as I have just rambled on about for a fair few minutes, it's absolutely brilliant and really needs to be listened to by anyone with even a semblance of enjoyment in extremity. There will be more reviews of live stuff and albums coming soon, as well as the weekly news show that you can catch that will be filling you in on all the biggest stories in rock and metal for the week. And until then, I shall bid you farewell.